Okay, guys, the part of Expona, the aftermath between I'm sorry, Mike OCD and Jay, we get to hear our takes on several things. One of them being the rooms that were ultra expensive, but we felt there was absolutely nothing happening in them. Another thing we're going to talk about is the, our choices for top rooms, our top picks. And one thing that I believe needs to be mentioned are what I call Bigfoot of the industry, the brands that we always hear about, but are never showcased. We never get to see them in person. I've been hearing a lot about these brands that I'm about to mention. So why don't we get started, Mike? Let's talk about the Bigfoots of the industry. Everyone heard about these brands, Mikey. It's no secret that Dartzeel is a brand that everyone has heard about. Gold-plated chassis, beautiful accents, gorgeous looking pieces. I have still yet to see a single Dartzeel piece in front of me. One, mind you.
Oh, you haven't?
Never seen one.
Oh, okay.
In real life, never seen one throughout any show that I've been through. Basically, the last 4 or 5 shows, not one piece of Dartzeel component have I ever seen. And it's always talked about. I feel a little bit salty with this brand because they sell monos that are $178,000, $180,000. I believe they are called the 468, which Michael Fremer owns himself. And those are his reference amplifiers. Never seen the amplifiers, never even seen one on the used market. All I typically see on the used market are the more affordable stereo amplifiers that they build, which are supposed to sound good, but they are pretty weak in terms of power, Mikey. And the line stage, I think the top of the line stage is battery operated, just like block audio. Again, never seen it. That's one brand that I don't know if you've seen it in person at a show. I mean,
I have
decades. I know you've been through many shows, so I'm sure you've seen it. But as of late, Mikey, since 2018, I have yet to see a single Dartzeel piece show up in front of me so that I can actually evaluate it. Pretty disappointing. I hope that anybody out there who represents Dartzeel is watching this video. They need to hear it from the horse's mouth. You guys are doing a terrible job at displaying your product. And if it is just because you feel your product is a Pagani from Switzerland, if you feel it's because your product is that crazy esoteric cars that you guys build, well, let me tell you, you're wrong. You're neither of those brands. You are an audio brand like everybody else, and I believe your products need to be displayed. Now, if it is a matter of your dealers not showing up and perhaps choosing not to display Dartzeel, that's a whole completely different conversation. Please begin to showcase your products. Okay, you're doing a piss poor job. No Dartzeel products, and we keep hearing about it on the forums. We keep seeing reviews on Dartzeel products everywhere.
Yeah, in response to that, before COVID, I used to see Dartzeel at every show. It's okay. So I have a certain level of, or a certain type of hi-fi that I call spectacle audio. Okay. Dartzeel would totally fall into that classification, spectacle audio. The sonic of it was just like, okay, it's good. Like everything else is good, but it never just blew me away, So I know that they do show there. I'm sure they're going to be in Munich, I mean, if they're not, they're in trouble. Something's happening, but you never know. These big companies, a lot of times these super esoteric companies have strange things happen with ownership and just a lot of drama, so sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. But I, up until COVID, saw them show up pretty much every show I went to. I'd see them at CES. I'd see them at Colorado. I saw them in LA. And they're gold and red stuff, gold and red anodized aluminum.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting stuff, but it's spectacle. It's more about what it,
Show.
oh, the fact that it is Dartzeel, the fact that
Yeah.
it's there and you can see it. I saw some, crossovers that they made that were very extravagant, and
Yeah. Moving on to the next brand that I think has been talked about all over the forums, and people, me being one of them, are really eager to see it perform at a show anyway. And throughout the last 4 years, I have yet to see a single product of this brand. And that would
drum
be
roll, please.
that would be Alsavox speakers from Spain. I know there is a lot of conversation about those speakers being the best speakers, best panels, period, around the world. Of course, that's open to debate, and I know you're a big panel person, so I'm not going to get you started because this could take 3 hours. I know, debating whether they are really all that
I've never heard them. I wanted
they
to hear them in Chicago. I really wanted to hear them.
pretty disappointing.
This
Again,
would fall on the not on the manufacturer, but on the dealer. There's a dealer in New York, Rhapsody, I believe, who carries them. And I don't know anything about that guy.
okay.
I've heard some things, but I don't know anything about him. And he should have brought him to the show. He's not properly representing the brand,
So a lot
But
of these,
I get, look, I get that he doesn't want to go to the show. Okay, because I understand. But, as a representative of a certain brand, something that's as talked about as that one is, you have a sort of a responsibility to the manufacturer to show it, I feel. So,
Yeah.
the manufacturers in Spain or in Italy, and what can they do about it? They're at the mercy of the guy here. He's just sitting around waiting to take orders. He doesn't want to do any work.
To me, that's a missed opportunity. So far, Expona has been the largest venue, the largest show we've had this year. And I don't anticipate any other show to top it this year. So
I can't imagine.
For me, that was a missed opportunity by Rhapsody. I believe his name is Bob. And so if Bob is watching this, and I have emailed him in regards
What's up, Bob?
to the third brand that I want to talk about, I think he missed an opportunity once again. Maybe he wants to do something local in New York. I don't know. But even then,
he definitely does. That's where his store is.
But it doesn't make any sense because you have to display that product at a large venue. First of all, it's very expensive. Okay. One of the biggest knocks on the product is it is just outrageously expensive, Mike. Okay. Really expensive. And panels, as we know, typically tend to be cheaper than box speakers, right? They tend to be more affordable. Of course,
they're easier to make. Can I tell you a little something?
Sure.
Let me tell you a little story. Okay, so I almost brought Alcivox in. I discovered Alcivox before they were here in the United States. Yeah, while I was looking for brands. And they told me I could have distributorship. I just had to buy 2 pairs of speakers. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I wasn't prepared to buy something that I hadn't heard, sight unseen, people I didn't know, and have them just shipped over here. But at that point, the Botticelli, I believe, which is their one down from the top of the line, and this was right before this other guy got a hold of them, they were $80,000. Okay, my cost was $40K per pair on them. Okay, and I didn't have 80 that I wanted to just gamble with and hope that it was okay, right? So this is a case of the distributor or the U.S. importer puffing up the retail price. They should be 80 grand. If they're 130 or whatever, probably now the COVID, they may have gone up a little bit, right? 10, 20%, something like that, at that range. But certainly not 130 grand or whatever that is. So that's fluff. He's doing that so he can discount it. And then people that's such a weak sales technique, but that's how these guys, some people operate. They've got no other skill but to discount to make something go out the door. And look, I don't just blame the dealer. I blame the end users too, because they come in like, I'm not going to buy anything unless I get a discount. If you don't discount, I know plenty of these guys and they're just, I'm like, don't buy from me then, go, work your deal somewhere else. So I put this also on the buyer as well. So what does the manufacturer do? What does the dealer do? He marks it up and fluffs it so that he can give them their little discount. And then they think, oh, I got a discount, and they buy the thing and they're happy because they got one over on him, but really he got one over on them. So it's the same little thing, but hey, I guess that's what people need. They need to feel that they have a discount. I think that's a lot of the reason why this stuff is overpriced.
Now, the third brand that I want to talk about happens to be also another line that Bob Rhapsody carries, and that would be Pilium Audio. So I believe they are from Greece. Don't quote me on that. I believe they are. But Pilium Audio is another brand that is supposed to be one of the best electronics out there. Apparently Magical is doing some trials with these amplifiers at the factory. I have contacted, for the record, I want to make sure I put it out there. I contacted Bob months ago, asking him to let me try one of those amplifiers, evaluate it, right? Because of all the level of gear that I have. And I think Bob follows me as well on my YouTube channel. And he said to me that he can't even stock it because it's selling like pancakes. Like he doesn't even have any, because the moment it arrives, his demo pieces don't last very long. So because people want him right away, they don't want to wait. And so for me, it's kind of like, okay, that's great if it's in reality what is taking place, but there are no dealers for Pilium.
Well, okay.
There's no dealership.
Yeah. Okay. So here's where we get into that. Distributor is an improper term for that guy. He is the exclusive USA seller. He is the exclusive USA dealer.
Got it.
And he wants all the business to himself. Why wouldn't he? I do that. I bring in Nat Audio. I bring in brands so that nobody else sells them, so that nobody can shop me because I don't discount. So there's no jackwagon that has no, integrity undercutting me in some other state, selling to the guys that love to buy from those people.
Again, no effort in putting this brand at any show over the last 3 to 4 years. And for me, that's pretty, I don't know, it's kind of like a red flag. Because it almost feels as if they are protecting the brand from displaying its capabilities to the masses, because perhaps the perception of the brand may not be as good once it's in front of thousands of people. And so what happens is this narrative begins to trickle down into the forums, and the conversations begin, and all the Walking Dead come out basically, and they begin to spread the virus as in, this sucks, this was terrible, this was bad. Now, I'm not saying the brand is that way. I'm saying in general, most practices, most brands that are protected like this typically has to do with the fact that, again, they're afraid of the perception. But keep in mind, if it was one time where this happened, we get it. COVID was here, we get it. But this goes back to, even before COVID, Mike, I haven't seen any of these brands.
Yeah.
So, and now here we
exactly.
are. Everyone knew Exponent was going to be big. It was a big event. A lot of people. It was a great opportunity. Right now, there's going to be a couple of other shows within the next 60 days. And then basically the year will wrap completely. We'll have a Capital Audio Fest, and then it'll wrap up. Right?
Just to make a little point, Axpona was about half of what it was last time I was there.
See, but yet
it wasn't that big. It wasn't that great. I saw Peter Bruniger and doing his talking about the show. It was so amazing. It was like a festival. It was like all this stuff. It's like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. That's my perception.
Got it.
Okay, if his perception is that was just like a super amazing thing, then hey, take it for what it's worth. It wasn't, it was, and this also might be a reason people are blowing off the shows. Look, Jeff Rowland wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay. Ivana Manley wasn't there. Luke Manley wasn't there. The guy from Vivid Audio with the ponytail, can't remember his name. He's normally there all the time.
But they did have representation at the Florida Audio, the Vivid Audio.
Yeah, the dealer had their stuff. But I'm just saying, these are the typical people that I see at the shows all the time that I love to see. That lets me know.
They did have Vivid Audio at the show, though. Exponent did have a room.
I know, but the guys weren't there.
No, they weren't there. No, they weren't there.
Yeah, I'm just what I'm doing is I'm comparing it to the other years and to Colorado and to CES. The people that I used to see that I normally see at the shows just weren't there. They weren't at Exponent. It was a lot of dealers. There were a couple people, but just not the regular cohorts. I think it's on its way down. That's my personal opinion. Okay. I think the shows are fizzling out. I don't think they're gaining steam. You got to remember also, Exponent ripped people off.
Yeah.
You know,
I heard that,
and so, yep. And so people are pissed off. They don't want to give Exponent their money. They're like, screw you. Yeah. You know,
I understand that aspect of things. And it could be a great conversation, a future conversation as far as the state of the audio industry. There is a thread circling around that has to do, I believe, with some print magazines potentially creating their own YouTube channel because of the fact that they're starting to see that opportunity there, right, to create more buzz, to just essentially do more of a larger marketing effort, for lack of a better word. And I think what happens is they are starting to realize that hiding behind a computer, typing or editing, print, whatever you're going to print out, whatever you're going to put on paper, and then translating that into a video, it's far more difficult. Video is, dude,
imagine what the journalists are going to do. It's two different types of people. They need to write stuff down and edit and do all that crap.
You could be on the airplane editing your.
We talk right off the cuff.
Yeah,
it's a whole different breed of animal, man.
Very hard. It's very hard. And I think
good luck. They're going to come across as totally full of crap, I think, on their channel. It's going to be all polished and super pretty, and they're going to have desks and microphones and be look like they're at a news conference, whatever.
That's what I think a lot of people miss here, is that they don't understand that writing something and having the ability to go back the next day and rewriting your words or deleting your punctuation, a new paragraph, right? Kind of like just joining ideas together to make more sense. Articulating your thoughts on paper is not the same as doing that in front of a camera. In front of a camera is far more difficult. If you end up shooting content right now and I need to travel tomorrow on vacation, and then someone calls me to say, you know what, this came across the wrong way on video yesterday, we need to do another take. Now you're in a position where you can't do that because you're elsewhere with different clothes on, not in the same room you were in. So the continuity of video is just much harder. It kind of ties you down more. To your point, you're in front of a camera. There's nothing here, man. There's nothing, you can't hide. You get me? Yeah. You can't, what comes out is what comes out. And so it's a 15-minute video can take you 3 hours to edit.
Oh, totally.
Multiple takes. And the way they want to do the level of work they want to do, right, is very polished, very professional, which it's even more demanding. Scripted, to your point. It's scripted.
Well, you also have to think of what it's going to look like and what it will become. Right. All it will become is advertising. They're going to do pretty pictures and pretty camera angles of the gear, and they're going to talk about how great it is from the people that pay them for advertising. And it's just going to be an advertising marketing arm. We're going to see infomercials about gear, and the manufacturers can do that themselves and on their own websites, and they'll do a better job of it.
It's going to be an interesting shift. And I expect that to begin sooner than later. We are seeing already the demand for more electric vehicles from the government. By the year 2030, I believe they want to start seeing less production of gas powered vehicles. And I think that is just natural. We're going to start seeing more of a transition from print to YouTube videos. And another reason why I think the YouTube videos are more valuable, and this is something that someone articulated to me, and I didn't think about it until the moment he said it, which was, think about it. For you to read a magazine and read an article, a review, right? You read it.
Yeah.
You have to be looking at it, focused, reading it, right? but you can actually be listening to someone's podcast or YouTube video while you're cleaning the pool, while you're driving to work.
Yeah.
Right. You can be, you can multitask. You can still consume your information while you're doing something else on the side. You can't do that when you're reading. So reading now is becoming a little more of a pain in the ass, for lack of a better word, right? Although we should still be reading, but I'm specifically talking about reviews, right? I think there's more entertainment when it's on video, when you can turn on your YouTube channel, or you can turn on your Apple TV or whatever it is, and then you start watching the videos of those that are of interest to you. So I am very, very curious and excited, Mike, to see what happens down the road. And I think we're going to start seeing an uptick of these types of videos and these types of channels that are going to start really pushing more of this type of content than ever before. It's going to be a matter of time before we start seeing another Jay's Audio Lab, another Mike. It's going to be a matter of time. I think we're going to start seeing that at some point. There's no telling when, but I think we can expect that. Okay, I already see a couple of channels that have 1,000 subscribers, 1,500 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers that are doing a lot, but where I see the disconnect sometimes, Mike, is anybody can have a YouTube channel. It's free.
Yeah, I
could have easily started this with no equipment behind me and just put pictures and talked about the show and had nothing to show for, and all of a sudden I have 10,000 subscribers, right? So I think that if the audience is understood the background of the person, what they've owned, what they're playing with, right? I think if they looked at that first and said, let me look at this guy, what has he had? To your point, what credentials does he have? What does he own? And before I begin to really hit that subscribe button, right? Because oftentimes what you see are dudes going to a store to shoot content and come back and talk about it. And they live with a boombox and bookshelf speakers.
Question the person that's giving you the information. Look at their background, look at their history, what kind of rig they have, how long have they been doing this, and what have they been doing, you know? Other people like you have been buying and churning and burning stuff for 5 years solid, you know? I mean, hundreds of different amps and all this kind of stuff.